Hello and welcome to the Talk Villa podcast. I'm your host, Samit Paul, and hopefully you've also just about recovered after an absurd ending to our 4-3 win over Sunderland on Sunday afternoon. Villa were absolutely cruising with just over 5 minutes to go as we led 3-1, but a quick-fire double from the visitors drew them level and they almost went ahead after carving us open once again. However, just after Emiliano Martinez made what was a huge save at one end of the pitch, Tammy Abraham ensured that we secured three crucial points in the push to secure a top 5 finish in the Premier League table. As with every game, I'll be discussing my 5 key talking points as we have a deeper dive into our win over Sunderland. But first, let's have a listen to the boss, Unai Emery, and his thoughts on the game as he spoke to Villa TV.
Good afternoon. It worked everything we suffered on the field. It was a tough match, but we did a very good match. Of course, the last 15 minutes or the minute they scored 2 goals and the chances we conceded the minute 90 was crazy moment. We are always playing so demanding in our structure, being organized, playing organized, discipline, and try to always play more or less respecting each one his task. But after we conceded 1 goal, the first goal was as well something we must to try to analyze deeply and try to avoid it. But the second and third goal was a completely crazy minute. And after it, we were close to lose, but as well our plan today was to win. And the last minute as well, we pushed it and really fantastic goal. Lucas Kroos, Tammy's goal, wow, it's really fantastic. Of course, I finished exhausted. I exploited all my emotions to win. And now, the last 2 matches at home in Premier League, we have won against West Ham and against today Sunderland, playing 2 very good matches, of course, with some circumstances like today. But this is the way. And Premier League, after Premier League, the first priority, the second is Europa League, and Europa League as well, the last 2 matches against Lille and against Bologna, we played fantastic matches, and we have won as well. More or less, we are recovering our confidence, feeling comfortable. Of course, today, how we achieved those 3 points is really fantastic, but we must try to avoid some momentum, losing the position like we lost today, but keep going and so happy.
That was Unai Emery speaking to Villa TV after our thrilling 4-3 win over Sunderland. So onto my 5 key talking points then, and let's start with what were 3 huge points in the top 5 race. Now, Chelsea's defeat to Manchester United the day before, Villa had the opportunity to open up a 10-point gap over our rivals for a Champions League qualification spot, and eventually we managed to find a way to ensure that was the outcome of this weekend. Now, this is such a crucial result to put ourselves in a really commanding position now to achieve this particular objective of finishing in the top 5 in the Premier League table and booking our spot back in the Champions League next season. We've recovered from a mid-season slump as well as the really concerning start to this campaign, and so Unai Emery and the squad deserve plenty of praise for what they've done. The job isn't quite yet done though, despite Chelsea's current form suggesting that they're going to find it really difficult to make up the ground on us with that 10-point gap now. We are now just 2 more wins away from a return to Europe's top table through this particular avenue. With the semi-finals coming up against Nottingham Forest in the Europa League, hopefully that comes sooner rather than later so we can switch our full focus to that European journey and trying to end our trophy drought. But this is a major step towards achieving that particular objective. On to the second point, and that is our defensive frailties and a drop in intensity cannot happen. Emery conceded in his post-match interviews that we lost our minds in a wild minute or so where Sunderland scored twice and then threatened to find a winner before Abraham eventually found the back of the net for our winning goal. Now, it was a big call to not only rest Pau Torres for this one, but to also then overlook Victor Lindelof to fill that void, given his brilliant contribution this season, as Tyrone Mings was instead preferred and given the nod in the back line. Now, Jadon Sancho lost possession in the build-up to both of Sunderland's late goals, and so that sloppiness from him and any substitute cannot happen moving forward. Any drop in intensity between now and the end of the season, particularly in the European games coming up, could prove really costly. So the players that come onto the pitch in the second half have to be at it from the minute they come on. But putting Sancho's sloppiness to the side, the gaps in our defensive line for those 2 goals and the chance that Habib Diarra had to put Sunderland ahead late on, were astonishing to me. We've kept it really tight for 85 minutes of this game, and all of a sudden there's gulf in space between Konza and Mings. They look slow to react to things. The runs that are coming off the ball, they're just not seeing them and dealing with it. And we just cannot switch off. Now, you can question whether or not that happens with one of Pau or Lindelof in the team. They're a bit sharper. They've been playing more in recent weeks. So it's not really sort of singling out Mings for an attack and just to criticise him in particular. But we were too lax and we were too switched off in the latter stages, and we almost paid the price. And that cannot happen against Nottingham Forest in the semi-finals of the Europa League. On to the third point, and it's a more positive one, and that is Ollie Watkins hitting form at a perfect time. That's now 7 goals in his last 9 games, and he appears to be rediscovering his best goal-scoring form at the most perfect of times. His positioning was critical for both of his goals. He was in the right areas to apply what were kind of simple finishes, but still composure, a clinical edge, and he took his chances really well. And I think it's really evident in his general play now, on and off the ball, that he's looking sharper, he's more confident, and he's in a clinical mood in front of goal. There were a couple of other openings where he could have added and got his hat-trick. There was a couple of chances where him and McGinn sort of couldn't really figure things out and show that clinical edge to wrap things up. But we need him to extend this form now through to the end of the campaign. It's a massive lift, not only for him, but for those around him, to see him back amongst the goals on a consistent basis. And hopefully that continues in the next few weeks. On to the fourth point, and that is John McGinn and his influence being the difference. Now, the impact that McGinn has made since his return from injury has been magnificent. The Villa skipper has been at his influential best, not only in setting the standard, but also the tone for his teammates in both phases of the game. He's showing real quality in terms of his attacking threat in the final third. He was instrumental in our build-up play in this game. He grabbed the assist for the first goal. And his defensive work rate, coupled with the balance, and I think that's an important one, the balance that he brings to this team on that right-hand side, all make him indispensable. Yuri Tielemans is critical in his own way. You see the influence and the quality and the composure and just the way that he can dictate in midfield. He's critical in his own individual way, as is Boubacar Kamara in the way that he is a defensive rock in midfield and he adds composure and quality in midfield for as well. But McGinn is the heartbeat of this team, and the quality that he's showing in advanced areas has made such a massive difference for us in this run-in so far. The fifth and final point is a bit of a cheat in that I'm focusing on 2 players rather than 1. But what a moment for Tammy Abraham as he stepped up and delivered the final blow in what was an exhilarating back and forth contest to secure all 3 fundamental points for Villa in our push to get back to the Champions League. Delighted for him personally, because he's had a bit of a limited role since he returned to the club. Can't have been easy, and it cannot be easy to sort of come on off the bench for the final few minutes of games, get up to speed and try and show that clinical quality that he has in front of goal to earn more playing time. So really, really happy for him that he's managed to get on and make the difference. But I think it's really, really important to note that that moment that he produced doesn't happen unless Emiliano Martinez produces his decisive save to keep us in this game. It's actually testament to the character of this team that they managed to recover and go again and find the winner after letting the lead slip and going down to 3-3. But I think if Diarra converts that opportunity, there is no way back for Villa in this game. I think we would have just, like I say, been shell-shocked, wouldn't know what hit us, and we wouldn't have been able to react in the way that we did. And I think you could even argue that the damage that moment would have done if he had have produced another goal and got it to 4-3 for Sunderland, there's a risk that may have well have dragged into our future performances in the next week or so, because that's a massive thing to throw away. And a massive psychological blow for the players to sort of say that we were 3-1 up, coasting on our way to 3 important points, and somehow we've managed to concede 3 goals in the last 5 minutes or so of this game. So massive, massive save from Emiliano Martinez. He managed to deny him and subsequently then set the foundation for Abraham to go on and turn it around for us and find the winner. 2 stunning and absolutely decisive moments at either end of the pitch. And that ultimately determined the outcome of this game. So what were your talking points from our win over Sunderland? Let me know your thoughts. If you're listening on YouTube, please leave your comments below. For those listening to the pod via Apple Podcast, Spotify or other means, head over to talkvilla.substack.com and get involved in the conversation over there. So that's a wrap on this episode of the Talk Villa podcast. As always, I want to say a big, big thank you for taking the time to have a listen. Please do subscribe to the pod or channel depending on where you're listening. So that's either on Apple Podcast, Spotify or YouTube or wherever you get your podcast from. Give the episode a like or leave a positive review if you've enjoyed it. Please sign up to the Talk Villa Plus newsletter on Substack for ad-free Villa news, opinions and analysis, all of which is directly delivered to you, and there is also an option of a paid subscription for bonus content. All the details will be in the description of this podcast, but for more, please go to talkvilla.substack.com and subscribe. So it's a massive win in the context of the top 5 race as we edge closer and closer to securing a place in the Champions League through our league position. It continues our good form and it keeps building momentum and confidence, but make no mistake about it, we cannot afford to switch off and drop our intensity in some of the huge games coming up against Nottingham Forest, otherwise we will get punished and the outcome might not be as favourable as it was on Sunday. It's Fulham away on Saturday for us next, so let's wrap up this top 5 race as quickly as possible if we can. Let's do our job and hope that the result at Chelsea goes our way, and then it's full focus on Nottingham Forest in the Europa League semi-finals. I'll be back on Saturday with the next episode of the podcast, but for now, villains, enjoy the win, enjoy your week, and as always, up the Villa.